Well, 18th century cities are really interesting because they're obviously not zoned in the same way our cities are today. And so you can find, actually, if you look at who's living based on a city directory, who's living on the same street, you can find a wealthy merchant, and then a few houses down, you can find, the sort of artisan who is certainly not well off, but isn't indigent. And then a few blocks over, you can find an alley which is crowded with slaves who have escaped from their masters and are hiding out, and poor sailors who've just come off the ships, and prostitutes. So it's a very jumbled up city. The Willings themselves, where they lived, as I mentioned, in Willings Alley, you also have a Quaker almshouse, you have the Catholic Church. They actually, on their block, they must have been very, very family-oriented, because they actually built a series of townhouses that their children ended up living in. This is why the Powell House is on the same block, because they bought it and gave it. They wanted their daughter, Elizabeth Powell, to live there. Mary Willing Bird also lived there for a while before she went back to Virginia. So in their case, I think they did try to sort of create almost like, the modern-day Kennedy compound on Martha's Vineyard or something, right? A sort of, here's where our family sort of groups together in clan-like fashion. But if you walked a couple of blocks, a 5-minute walk from the Willings is Elfress Alley, which is a place where you can go and see a lot of intact architecture from the 18th century, and where you would have had a lot of fairly well-off sort of artisanal class people, but also indigents and people coming off the boats with only a few coins in their pocket, or maybe just bread in their pocket, like Franklin when he arrived. So this sort of idea that it is a city where you constantly have people jostling up against one another. It's not the sort of socially, economically segregated place we think of Philadelphia today in many ways.